Hi, welcome to my channel. As I promised, I'm going to share a complete playlist on design patterns with in detail explanation. And this is my first video on design patterns playlist, and this is like factory design pattern. So my way of explanation is a bit different. I just generally don't explain example or straight away some kind of theory. First, I'll explain like why we are choosing factory design pattern, what is the existing problem, how factory design pattern is solving, and standard definition and class diagram, and finally with Java examples. So first, think about as this is our first playlist on factory design pattern, right? Let's talk about how we will generally create an objects for a class. Think about this one. So we have resource one, resource two, and resource three. These are like three different classes, and we want to create an object for each class. How we generally do? We'll straight. We have three resources: resource one, resource two, and resource three. So now we have a driver class is there. Now we want to create a class for each one. Generally, what we will do, we just create either like traditional way of creating objects for each class. So there are three classes are there. We are creating three different objects for each class. So and we will access accordingly like each methods inside the class. Now let's say we are going one step ahead. So this part we understand like how we are creating object. Next we need to focus on like how we will create an object when multiple classes have similar use case. Let's say resource one is there. Resource one is basically have like same function called get resource, and resource 2 is also have a single function called get resource. Resource 3 also has same function called get resource. Then what you will do generally, if you are good with Java programming, then you definitely know there is a concept called interface. You create a common interface, and you'll write a abstract method over there, and rest of the classes which has basically common, they it can be any number of classes that simply implements that particular interface and implements the all the abstract methods. So that is the second way of doing second way of creating an object. So now you have an interface and you have three different classes. So in the when you're writing a logic in a driver class, how you will generate it? Interface like object name equals to you're creating whichever a class you want to create an object equals to new class object, new class. So likewise you are creating different way of creating objects with the help of interfaces. So okay, but these two are absolutely a good way. Like now, before talking about factory pattern, let's think about like why factory pattern came into picture. Like so, because as we already see, like our problem is getting solved because of the single interface. With it doesn't matter how many number of classes are there. Whoever wants to implement that particular class, particular interface, there is a we can easily implement, right? Now let's talk about like a simple example with let's say I want to send a notification. So see generally how we will see notifications. Notifications can be either through SMS, through email, through push notifications if you are using apps. In all three things, notification is like send notification is common. There is like common set of attributes also there. For example, it might already define like from and to. For example, it comes to SMS, it will be like from is a number and to is also a number, and there is a subject is there. It can be, let's say you are sending an OTP, so then the subject will be the OTP number with a certain validate how many minutes it was validated. It will be validated. So for example, let's say it is like email notification, then there also from and to is common. Like here in the case from is a mail and to is a mail, subject is still common. For example, it's app notification, then also the from and to is common, and also there is three certain attributes which is common across like SMS notification, app notification, email notification. So how we will accessing, like how we will creating objects. So as we discussed, we have a notification interface is there. In that, send notification is common. We create an abstract function. So I'm passing a notification attribute, what we call notification attribute class. In the notification attribute class, we have like from, we have to, and we have message. So during push, like in the respect to email notification, push notification, and SMS notification, they simply implement this particular notification interface and overrides the send notification, and they're writing their own logic by sending the basically sending the messages, sending how they want to process from here onwards. But ultimately, both three are like common behavior. So they have extracted the particular function out of like out from three and put it into the notification interface. From there, they are using accordingly, like how they want to return the logic. It's completely up to each class level. So when it comes to driver class, we simply creating an object. Let's say I want to create a SMS notification. So I'm creating a SMS notification object and simply sending the notification. Let's say I want to create a email notification. Here from and to is changed. Here instead of numbers, it will be different from and to. I'm sending the email notification. If you execute the function, right? If you execute the class, it will generally give like SMS sent successfully to this particular to address, and email sent successfully to this particular to address. So ultimately the behavior, everything was same exactly. Now let's understand what exactly factory design pattern. So according to the given definition, what exactly factory design pattern in the sense is like define an interface for creating an object, but let subclasses decide which class to instantiate. So this is exactly what we just discussed, but there is one extra layer which is added called factory class, that is actually creating an objects for us. We are not concerning about creating an object in the driver program. So we will ask the factory class, okay factory class, I just want to create an object for the SMS. Okay factory class, I just want to create an object for let's say phone, let's say email. So factory class, which is responsible of creating an object of the particular query, whatever we asked, and then returning back the object instance. And let driver class implements or access the methods of the particular class accordingly. Like, so we can also call the factory class as a virtual constructor. Why we call factory class as virtual constructor? Because factory class is basically access. From the help of factory class, we are able to creating an object, but internally it was creating each class constructors only, but we are actually creating an object, right? That's why we call it as a factory class as a virtual constructor. So in this example, I'm going to show you how the notification without pattern can be converted into notification with factory pattern. So this is the simple class diagram which I was drawn. So let's say we have an interface called notification, which will send the notification, and it has implemented three things, like three classes: SMS notification, push notification, and email notification. And there is a class called notification factory, and in that there is one method called get instance. That get instance, we are providing notification type. So I want SMS notification. There you can also provide instead of notification type as an enum, you can provide a simply what you call string also. But with the help of notification type as an enum, it makes code very readable, and it is very understand. So there is, and also less number of errors. That's why it is important to write enums whenever you want to in these kind of situations. Like, so I have created an enum called notification type, where I'm passing app, email, and SMS as enums to this get instance. So accordingly, it will either return SMS or push or email notification. See, so this is all about factory pattern. It's a very easy pattern. Let's take about, like, let's see with examples. Let's see the example. So I have a notification interface. So there are three classes which are implements the notification, push notification, SMS notification. Now let's talk about notification type. So this is the enum which has like three things called app, SMS, and email. So for each corresponding class, because this is a passing as a parameter for the notification factory get instance. So now let's talk about notification factory. In this notification factory, we have single public available function called get instance, and here we are passing parameter called notification type. So depending upon the notification type we passes, right, it will return the corresponding object. Because I have created a hash map called factory map. I was in the static block itself, I was initializing all the corresponding objects, all the corresponding class creations for each notification type. So for the factory, let's say if I want to access the app notification type, right, I will return the this notification factory will return the push notification object. Like so here because of like simplicity, I have created like static block. In some cases, let's say static block might not be useful because this is like it will be mostly in compile time. So let's say your email notification is basically taking a parameters like taking a this is basically no-args constructor, right? Which means like all are like no arguments are passing in the constructor. There are few scenarios where you are able to you can pass the constructors, like so depending on the constructors in your fields of classes, there are some sectors will be invoked. So there simple like this kind of static block might not be useful for you. There you might create it because this is a one way of implementation, right? There are other ways, like basically in the get instance itself you can write something like a switch case. You can write case by cases, and the email notification you can pass the corresponding hash map or corresponding object, whatever object you want to uses the particular class. So this is all. I think this is the one way of doing. It's completely up to you depending upon the complexity. This particular factory pattern is like changing, but what is the constant is like driver. For the driver function, for the driver class, whatever complexity of notification factory, it doesn't matter. Like driver function simply asks the particular object, and the factory pattern is responsible if the particular object is presented in our code base, right, the factory pattern needs to be returned. That is the only thing driver wants. Like it doesn't matter how your logic, how you will turn it, completely up to the notification factory, how we generally design. Like so this is all about notification factory, and this is a easy like first factory pattern, first kind of design pattern, and also easy design pattern. There is a second design pattern called abstract factory pattern, extension of like factory pattern, which I will explain in my second video. So if you see my code base, right, I have created all design patterns like behavioral, creational, and structural, and same way I have uploaded everything to my GitHub channel. So you can you can basically download this, you can basically clone this one, or you can fork this one. Time to time I will keep on updating this particular repository, and yeah, and also I will share the corresponding links here itself, like all the video links and also everything. So please subscribe to my channel, and we'll soon meet in the next video.